providing coverage today of the advanced poll which is being conducted today here in New Providence and around the Bahamas. Want to point out a couple of things, also overseas polling as well, Carlton Smith.
And overseas voting, I believe a significant percentage of that will be done online because I'm sure it's very difficult for them to have polling station at every single location where Bahamians are abroad, because you may have, say, 3 Bahamians in Michigan, you may have 2 in California, you may have 20 in London, and it may be very difficult to manage that process. So I believe part of the process would be electronic to ensure that they facilitate all of the eligible voters abroad.
If you're a citizen of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and you're in the South Florida area, you would cast your ballot at the Consulate of the Bahamas in Miami. If you're in Canada, one of the places is the High Commission of the Bahamas. The embassy, the Bahamian embassy in DC, in New York, the consulate office, that one is right across from the United Nations building. I know that one
yes.
well. In London, the High Commission's office. In Atlanta, a lot of Bahamians in Atlanta going to college.
Yes, a large Bahamian population, particularly university students, are in Atlanta.
Right, particularly around those four, what do you call
Clark University, Spelman, Morehouse, those universities in that area of Atlanta.
There is a consulate of the Bahamas in Atlanta. And then in the Caribbean, we have quite a bit of overseas voters as well. At the UE campus in Jamaica, at the UE campus in Barbados, UE meaning the University of the West Indies, and also the UE campus in Trinidad and Tobago. So quite a bit of voting going on, not just here in New Providence and in the Family Islands, but literally around the world.
See, that's a significant change in the electoral process for the Bahamas this time around, because historically what happened was each political party was trying to see if they can woo those voters and then pay for them to travel home to vote on election day. That's a very costly exercise. And so the government decided that, hey, there's a better way for us to do that. Because these Bahamians are abroad and they cannot be here on election day, we should not be putting the country at any, or their parents at any.
And you should not disenfranchise them.
And you should not disenfranchise them. They should have equal opportunity to participate in the process, because they are not resident in the country. They are resident in the country for a specific purpose, for education primarily, or because they work for the Bahamas government in those specific countries. And by virtue of their residency for those specific reasons, they should be given the opportunity, every opportunity to exercise their right as a normal citizen of this country.
In Grand Bahama, the polling place for all of the constituencies is the Foster Pestana Center.
Yeah, that's at Christ the King. That's the parish hall at Christ the King Anglican Church, downtown Freeport. And so everybody from East End, from Sweetings Key to West End, must come to that center. And I don't believe that number is significant.
Yeah.
It's quite a number of people, but because they only have 5 constituencies, it pale in comparison to, say, New Providence.
Mm-hmm. In Central and South Abaco, it's St. John the Baptist Anglican Church in Marsh Harbor.
Yes.
In North Abaco, it's the Magistrates Court in Cooperstown. This is where the advance voting is going on today. In Mangrove Key and South Andros, well, there are 2 places there, that constituency being so expansive. The
Separated by water too.
Right. The Marion Forbes Center in Kemps Bay, mainland south, and then in Fresh Creek at the Magistrates Court. North Andros and the Berry Islands is at the Magistrates Court in Nicholstown. In Central and South Eleuthera, the courthouse in Governor's Harbor. In North Eleuthera, it's the Community Center in Upper Bogue. In the Exhumas, it's the Magistrate Court in Georgetown.
I think the interesting one is Cat Island, Long Island, and Michael.
The voting, this is interesting, the voting, advanced voting, for Cat Island, Long Island, and Michael is being conducted here in New Providence at the Kendall J.L. Isaacs Gymnasium.
And there are many theories. Maybe it's more cost effective to do it here because the numbers of people that may have applied for advance voting in those constituencies may not have been that significant. And as a result, when you weigh the cost of sending representatives from New Providence from the Parliamentary Registration Department to set up polling stations in those individual islands, it may not have been cost effective to do it, and so they felt maybe it was in the best interest of the process to bring them to Nassau.